This is Mr. Bones' Wild Ride. It's kind of a meme. This ride of 30,696 feet takes 4 years to complete, only for the exit path to lead right back to the entrance. Mr. Bones himself greets you on this path next to a sign that reads, quote, "The ride never ends." The ride gained in notoriety as a popular 4chan joke, but looking at it seriously, it highlights where one's creativity can reach within an open-ended game. RollerCoaster Tycoon 2, the game Mr. Bones' Wild Ride was built in, serves as a great example of a canvas game. What I mean by a canvas game is any game that allows for unique player expression within a given context, be it theme parks, cities, or distant planets. They create a set of rules with which the player can direct their creativity into making something beautiful, efficient, or in Mr. Bones' case, masochistic. The rules and limitations of these games, like the limitations of paint and canvas, encourage creative solutions to meet the game's goals. While most canvas games are simulators, it includes games outside of that framework, like Minecraft, Factorio, or even the settlement building features of Fallout 4. To make a good canvas game is to find a balance between limitation and player freedom. First, let's talk about limitation. RollerCoaster Tycoon 2 is over 15 years old and may not be able to do the same level of physics simulation that a modern game could. But that's not the limitation we're talking about. The game actively has a different limitation that encourages creative direction. When you start a game, you are not able to access every ride, scenery item, or food stall. Instead, they are unlocked over time. This may seem like an obvious limitation, but it's quite brilliant. On one hand, limiting the amount of rides available serves as a way of keeping the game simple. With options that expand over time, the likelihood of the player feeling overwhelmed is reduced. But on the other hand, the player is forced to embrace those limitations in their park by adapting to the situation. When all you have is a wooden wild mouse, suspended swinging airplane, and slide friction roller coaster, you have to be creative to use those less recognizable and more limited rides, and then make bonzo bucks off of them. In describing the canvas games of Will Wright, such as SimCity, Spore, or The Sims, Polygon writer Brian Crescente comments on Wright's, quote, "ability to touch a player's imagination and inspire their intellect, to create not just games, but places and spaces of exploration," end quote. This exploration is true for both Wright and Chris Sawyer, the creator of the RollerCoaster Tycoon series. Exploration is drawn out by the built-in limitations of canvas games. From bureaucracy in Prison Architect to RollerCoaster Tycoon 2's research and development. Allowing the different possibilities of the game to be slowly revealed to the player eases them into more complex management, more creative options, and ultimately a higher skill level. On the other side of the scale, a good canvas game also balances player freedom. Too much limitation can make a game feel too slow or too restrictive. However, at a glance, the aspect of freedom seems simple within canvas games. They are, by their very nature, open to the player to explore and create, but it is more complex than that. Sid Meier, the legendary developer of games like Civilization, said in an interview, quote, "Our role as designers is to kind of fade into the background and let you express your own ideas and strategies and personality in the game," end quote. This is not true of all games, but a well-made canvas game will not push the player too much in any direction, or have one solution to the creative problem they present. While RollerCoaster Tycoon 2 has a lot of personality and style to it, none of that impedes the player's ideas or creativity in any way. Chris Sawyer does exactly as Sid says. He seemingly fades into the background and allows players to express themselves using his game. In an interview with Eurogamer, he described it best when he said, quote, "Perhaps there's a Lego-like philosophy to my games. They're games where you build things block by block in a rather simplistic and restrictive environment, and then interact with those models to keep things working well, improving and rebuilding things when needed, and being rewarded for constructive skills and good management." What Chris is describing here is exactly what goes into making a work of art good on a technical level. See, I'm not using the metaphor of paint and canvas frivolously. Making things in these games is similar to making art and follows the same rules. On a technical level, what makes a work of art, especially a painting, good is ultimately constructive skill of the image, the figures looking a certain way, moving a certain way, expressing a certain thing, and management of the piece, balance of light and color, framing, scale, etc. Like canvas games as well, Paint and canvas have limitations, such as 2 dimensions, being a still image, and a lack of physicality and texture. But at the same time, an artist is able to explore their surroundings, thoughts, and feelings in a free and open way with paint and canvas. Their creativity allows them to bend those rules, creating dimension with perspective, posing figures to simulate movement, and mixing mediums to add textures. As unusual as it sounds, the same is true for RollerCoaster Tycoon 2. A player can create a theme park to capture a feeling of nostalgia, to replicate a theme park they've seen, or even to test new ideas of what they were thinking about. Furthermore, the approaches to a work of art in canvas games are very similar. The way in which you make art usually falls within a spectrum of complete improvisation on one end and following a strict formula on the other. The way you play a canvas game falls within the same spectrum. Continuing with RollerCoaster Tycoon as an example, you can just start a sandbox park and see where it takes you as a complete improvisational approach. Better players, then, are ones who have enough raw skill at the game that they can make an incredible park based on raw skill alone. In art, a freeform jazz musician follows a similar process of learning the right chords and music theory in order to be able to improvise anything and still create amazing music. Miles Davis and his band oftentimes created masterpieces of albums that were recorded as one-day jam sessions. In the middle of the spectrum is the very common approach of allowing an established idea to take you somewhere different. For example, Reddit user IamPrime wanted to make a park like Universal in its different themes, but allowed the game's mechanics and his own creativity to result in this amazing park he spent 10 years on. The same approach to an idea is done often within ceramics due to the changing nature of clay. I had the privilege recently of seeing the potter Malcolm Mobutu Smith work, who is inspired by the look of clouds, but allows the clay to take him in a different direction, resulting in these cups that combine the roundedness of clouds with geometry and pointedness in a really interesting way. He lets the idea grow and live with controlled improvisation. Finally, there is the strict adherence to formula. The people who replicated numerous Six Flags locations in RollerCoaster Tycoon 2 were following this approach. They had a clear idea of what they wanted and they were following it. Film director Alfred Hitchcock is well known for this approach as well. Sources say he would fall asleep on set because his notes on how he wanted his films to look were so detailed that he didn't have to do or say anything. The entire production followed what he wrote like a cookbook. So as you can see, whether it be the technical qualifiers for success, balance of freedom and limitation, or even the different approaches to it, canvas games make players think and act like artists. They gamify art in a way that makes it fun and approachable. Due to their all-age appeal, they encourage creativity in people young and old, which is really a great thing. In researching this video, I asked RollerCoaster Tycoon's Reddit community what it was about the game that has people playing it over a decade later. I received numerous well-thought-out and thought-provoking responses, and I'd like to share a couple of them with you to highlight the way which these canvas games make the creative mindset appealing and approachable.
It incorporated enough real-life physics to make roller coasters with realistic performances. Damn you lateral G's, now I need 50 extra handymen. And as opposed to its competing theme park series by Bullfrog, allowed players to get creative with their track designs, not only for coasters, but many gentle and thrill rides alike. If you get tools to make your own stuff like RCT2 did, plus an active open source project like OpenRCT2, you get an endless source of entertainment.
I played RCT and RCT2 to build coasters in dream parks. RCT's realistic feel must have been what made it great for me. It managed to balance realism and fun better than any other game, even without being able to ride the rides.
It combines creativity with resource management and has a visual style that is appealing and easy to navigate. It's a winning combination.
I could place anything anywhere within my park, be it rides or scenery, and if I wanted more land, I could buy it. If I wanted to alter the land itself, building mountains and valleys, I could do so easily. Being able to build in virtually any kind of environment, forest, city, desert, snow, etc. also added more fun options to the game. I might fail the objective, but that never involved stopping me from continuing to play the park I was working on. I could always keep on building whatever park I was working on and make it into anything I wanted to make it into. These are the reasons why I've been playing this game for 15 years and will continue to enjoy it.
When they built Batman the ride, all the kids got in line. I waited 2 hours at least just to get inside Gotham City at night. Gotham City at night. But oh, Gotham City.